Leading off for the Fort Wayne TinCaps, the shortstop, number 4, Justin DeCrisio.
That would be bad news for his career. It is gorgeous here in West Michigan. Caps are clad in their navy tops today. Fort Wayne going in the apple red jerseys for this game 2 and this Wednesday night. Ben Jacobs, the Detroit Tigers' number 5 prospect, is ready for baseball. We hope you are. His first pitch of the ball game to Justin DeCrisio is fouled straight back at 93 miles per hour, and we are underway at 6:38 p.m. I don't know about you, Nate, but I was surprised when I saw the ERA for Ben Jacobs. It had not seemed like he had pitched to the tune of a 6+ earned run average. As this one gets whacked down the left field line, that's a fair ball towards the foul side of the corner. DeCrisio, who had 2 hits yesterday, strolls into second base, and something the Fort Wayne TinCaps were unable to do through an entire ball game yesterday, get a runner past first base. They do so on the first batter of the ball game here tonight. Let's take a look at that Whitecaps defense.
Back behind him in left field is Harustich. Strong in center. Soika is in right. On the infield, Hernandez manning third for Rayner at short. Hayden second. Campbell at first. Luke Schlager back behind the plate. And Ben Jacobs on the mound.
Brings up Kason Wells, who did not play in yesterday's ball game. The numbers 2 and 3 hitters for this Fort Wayne team were out yesterday. Jacobs delivers inside 1-0. But you just go back literally 2 starts ago, and Jacobs' ERA was in the mid-6s. So it's a little bit less about a rocky season, but more so just a couple of bumpy starts his last few times out. 1-0.
Wells takes one that dots the outside corner. There's a fastball at 93. Patrick McMorris is calling the balls and strikes tonight. Brady Parrish is on the bases.
But in his last 2 appearances, and mind you, this spans 6 innings, he's given up 13 runs. 1-1. Liner towards third. It's caught by a lunging Hernandez for out number 1. He just took away a surefire double from Kason Wells and some help from Ben Jacobs here in the first.
And while I'm sure he wants that batting average to continue going up for Juan Hernandez, the defense has been without question these last couple of weeks. We've seen the range at short, at second, now at third, reaching out to snare that one. I've been really impressed by the glove.
Brings up Carrington Cross. Seems like a name you would find on Game of Thrones. Outside corner for strike 1. He's got the mustache to go along with it.
It's coming back. I wouldn't say it's coming back. It's actually officially all the way back. The mustache is.
And now the set, and Ben Jacobs delivers the 0-1 pitch. Big cut and a miss. Blew the fastball by him at 93. He stayed pretty consistent with that. Diving into his last 2 starts, one of the things that stands out was his last time out, he was clearly trying to throw a little bit more and stay in the strike zone. I'll tell you more about that after this 0-2. Fouls it back to the net. So he got tagged for 9 runs in 2 2/3 innings and a loss at Dayton back on June 24th. And in that game, he walked 5 batters to just 4 strikeouts. He had walked at least 3 batters in each of his prior 4 starts. He cleaned that up. Did not walk a batter his last time out. Here's his 0-2 pitch. Cross slashes one back, almost the exact same spot. It's 0-2. So what he took away from his walk total, he seemingly was not able to subtract from his hit total. He actually gave up 10 hits in his start here last week against Lake County. That was a career high, despite not walking a single batter. Cross pumps this one into right field. Back a couple of steps goes Soika. He's got it. There's out number 2. DeCrisio tags. He's over to third base. Runner to third now with 2 outs here in the first. But I guess it's just a good reminder that no matter who you are, no matter what league you're in, players, teams, they will find ways to adjust. And then it comes down to the players being able to counter those.
And for Ben Jacobs, I mean, the advanced analytics already tell us everything we need to know in terms of the spin rate and all the other things that really pop off the page. It's just a matter of fine-tuning those things, because I think if you try to be too perfect, it can tend to flatten out a little bit.
Alex McCoy takes down and in. By the way, that last flyout to Soika was a 95-mile-per-hour fastball from Ben Jacobs. That's the hardest we've seen a pitch from him here tonight. Runner at third, 2 outs. McCoy the batter. He's the right fielder. He blows that fastball at 94 past him. It's 1-1. 12 homers, 41 runs batted in for McCoy this year. 14 stolen bases. This Fort Wayne team has a couple of guys that can really run. The 1-1. Just missed outside. Not a bad spot for that one. 2 balls and 1 strike on Alex McCoy. Third base side of the rubber for Ben Jacobs, who settles in. Little glance over at DeCrisio. He delivers a breaking ball that falls over the bottom of the zone. McCoy didn't like it. It's 2-2. K-Zone said it was in.
That's that changeup too. That's a really good spot at the bottom of the zone. And you know, with how many different offerings he has, it really does all come down to sequencing and picking your spots well. And that's why McCoy didn't like it.
He's got a super slow spin rate as well. Here's the 2-2 McCoy. They went from slow to fast that time, and back to the screen it goes from McCoy, still 2-2. More so now, more than ever, it's that progression that we see pitchers doing with hitters. It's the slow to fast as opposed to the backwards way, which we saw dominate the better part of a century. Cut and a miss. McCoy goes down, gave him the hook for strike 3.
Woody Hayden.
To the bottom of the first, Fort Wayne nothing. The Whitecaps coming to bat. Home half of the frame brought to you by Roost Chris inside the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel in downtown Grand Rapids. It's where you want to bring your next business meeting, private event, or night out to Roost Chris. Online at roostchris.com. Up and away to Woody Hayden. 1 ball and 1 strike the count on the Whitecaps second baseman. He leads us off. He was 1 for 3 yesterday. He rolls over this ground ball to the right side. Got to get the pitcher Churio over to first, and he does in time for out number 1. The old 4-1 putout starts the bottom of the first for West Michigan, and Nate's got to look at the Fort Wayne defensive alignment.
In the outfield, Costello manning left, Wells in center, McCoy is in right tonight. Evans over at third for DeCrisio at short. Linares at second, Cross at first. King Jr. back behind the plate, and again Churio on the mound. Did put up really good strikeout numbers down at low A, 71 and 51 and 2/3 in the Cali.
I can also tell he's a pretty quick worker. Bryce Rayner takes outside. We mentioned that we are celebrating the 30 years of affiliation with the Detroit Tigers tonight. As the season has progressed, a few of those big-time Tigers prospects have matriculated their way to West Michigan, namely this newly 21-year-old who slams it into right center field. There's a base hit. How about a cool 110 off the bat of Bryce Rayner for a 1-out single?
And the reason why I think I've been so impressed with his approach is, you know, really doesn't get beat by mistakes very often now. Yeah, sometimes we see him swing under him, follow him off, but you know, that's a hanging breaking ball up in the zone, and credit to Bryce, just turned it around right back up the middle. His timing's good. It's a good swing.
It's one of the things that the Tigers continue to work on with Bryce and so many of their other hitters is hitting the ball in the air. We were actually talking to Rene Rivera in the clubhouse before this ball game today, and that was one of the points of emphasis he was talking about with all their hitters. Is kind of, he went over just kind of the different things that they try to challenge their hitters with. But the good news is when you hit it 110 miles an hour, sometimes you can hit it anywhere and it'll find a way through. Hurtado sends one back this way, and it's no balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, we know that obviously launch angle and stuff like that matters. I mean, in terms of, you know, building up strength and power and all those things. If you can elevate the baseball, good things will happen. But you're right, with that power Bryce has, you can put it anywhere.
Hurtado waves and misses at a high fastball at 96 miles per hour for strike 3. That'll bring up Jackson Strong, who has a, how would you say, very deep contingent of family and friends. I was trying to use another word that wasn't the word strong.
Right.
Here's his first pitch. Little outside. There are more Jackson Strong t-shirt jerseys in one patch down behind the on-deck circle than I think I've seen a player consolidate all season long. He's got a cheering section. This one's up high. 2 balls and no strikes.
Yeah, a lot of times we'll see him gathered down the left field line. I've had the chance to talk to a handful of Jackson Strong's family members throughout the course of this year, but I'm convinced they almost live here. I mean, they've been here more often than anybody else is here.
Well, Jackson's put on a good show for him this week. Outside 3-0. He had a pair of sensational catches in center field yesterday. One very early on, took away a base hit coming in on a ball in left center, and then one where he took one off the yellow line up in right center field. 3-0 falls over the heart of the plate at 93. 3-1 on Jackson Strong. We have gotten too used to his acrobatics in the outfield. He has been such a pleasant surprise on the defensive side. He's got some power too. Hitters count 3-1. Flares it back this way. It's now a full count. That's going to get Bryce Rayner off with a payoff pitch. Bottom of the first, just underway. No score. Fort Wayne and the Whitecaps with a runner at first and 2 out. Crowd still filing in. It's a little on the warmer side. I think they gave away some fans on the way in, courtesy of our friends at the Kent County Health Department. Good day for that. 3-2, good day for that. High and outside. That's a leadoff walk for the first at-bat of the night for Jackson Strong. That's how he starts his evening. 2-on-2 out for Clayton Campbell.
And in referencing that earlier conversation we had, we talked about the benefit of what a good AB looks like at the end of the day. And making Chorio throw that many pitches in that AB, that's a really good AB to pass it off here to Clayton Campbell.
Campbell was locked in yesterday. A home run shy of hitting for the cycle. He's got his batting average all the way up over 260. That is a enormous improvement from his last couple of years down in Lakeland. And I feel like we're going to harken back to our conversation throughout this game with Rene Rivera, but he talked about the developmental side of the game and players that sometimes you see hit very well at a level like West Michigan and then don't end up hitting as well at the higher levels of the system. But they're really focusing on is different. That one's outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. I think it's more part of their process. Not that they're out there hoping that guys hit 200, but I think that they see it more in their range of outcomes, that they can have a player hit 200 down in low A like Lakeland and then get better on their way up. As Campbell fouls that one back, and it's still 2-2.
Because it comes down to optimizing what is the perfect way to develop, obviously within the way you want to develop, but individualizing at the same exact time. I feel like the Tigers org has gotten so much better over the last couple of years of individualizing a lot of that, the development side.
2-2. Campbell, breaking ball, drops in. He's down on in West Michigan. Jack Costello to start us off. First pitch is fouled away. Ben Jacobs, good start. Ended up stranding a runner at third base in the top half of the first inning. That's exactly what he needs. You think about that old adage, 1's an accident, 2's a trend, 3's a problem. Ben Jacobs does not want a third straight start to go less than his standards here in West Michigan, especially in front of a home crowd here tonight. As this next one's fouled straight back. Get a load of this, Nate. Whitecaps yesterday had 5,106. Is Pete getting another foul ball over there?
That one come up to you? Yeah, it looks like he does. Looks like
We've got the confirmation. That is a daily ritual in this ballpark. Next toss fouled away. Nothing in 2. Ben Jacobs being able to come out and throw this game here today. This one probably means a little bit more in a situation like this for this very talented left-hander. Here's his 0-2 to Costello. Got him swinging. How about 2 straight strikeouts for Ben Jacobs? One ends the first. This one opens the second inning. Now, before we get into Lamar King Jr., I did want to take a moment to acknowledge something that came across our desk earlier today. Somebody that had a profound impact on the history of this ball club. And how wild is it that we're talking about 30 years of affiliation between the Whitecaps and the Detroit Tigers. And on this day, we lost Phil Regan at the age of 89 years old, who was the Whitecaps manager in 2002 and 2003. He is the only manager in Whitecaps history. First pitch miss, so to the next one, 2 balls and no strikes. He is the only manager in Whitecaps history to have been a major league manager before he ended up managing in West Michigan. A lot of great seasons as a pitching coach as well. And a very good playing career. 2-0. Wave and a miss. 2 balls and 1 strike. But Phil Regan passed away earlier today at the age of 89 years old. And he is somebody that had a big impact on a lot of players that went on to considerable success in Major League Baseball. Just a little outside. 3 balls, 1 strike. So our deepest thoughts and sympathies to the family of Phil Regan, who was part of the Whitecaps in those 2 seasons, 2002 and 2003. Caps were outstanding his first season. Here's a grounder foul. 3-2 on Lamar King. Caps were 83 and 57 under Phil Regan in his first season. And among the players that he managed, Ryan Rayburn, Mike Rabello, and a very young 18-year-old by the name of Joel Zumaya. 3-2 pitch down the middle, ring him up. Lamar King goes down on strikes. Perfectly located changeup. That's strike 3. 2 away. 3 straight strikeouts for Ben Jacobs.
It's a lot of great names, but I obviously made his impact here in West Michigan, and is remembered well by the people that were here, and had a really long and storied career. And yeah, the irony certainly isn't lost on anyone, but he's certainly a part of those 30 years of a tradition.
And you know how they always say there's 6 degrees of separation with all of us? Well, guess which player he managed during his 2002 season? Don Kelly, who of course now is the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. A former big league manager managing a soon-to-be big league manager. It's all connected. 1 ball, 1 strike on Luke Cantwell.
You feel like those few degrees of separation are especially true in this sport.
1-1's fouled away. I have to imagine that there would be a special sense of pride, and of course there always is for players, and especially for coaches who graduate players up into the major leagues. That's always a very special moment, but few managers get to graduate a major league manager. Back to the net. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Luke Cantwell. You can graduate all kinds of players, but many coaches will go their entire career without being able to say they managed a future manager. Here's the 1-2. Cantwell takes in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And that's the sign of a good leader, too, when you start to see those branches that obviously result in other successful careers, that they turn around and they create other successful people as well. The branches are very expansive, and so shows you just how good of a leader he was.
Lefty on lefty. Ben Jacobs looking to strike out the side in the second. The 2-2 is tapped back to the mound. Jacobs has it. He'll happily settle for a 1-2-3 second inning.
Coming up in the Whitecaps, right field, number 26, Andrew Soika.
Visit the York Creek, APTS.com. Bottom 2, Andrew Soika. First pitch is high and tight from Wynyard Chorio. 1 ball and no strikes. Soika had a couple of RBIs yesterday. Didn't have a whole lot to write home about in terms of the contact he had at the plate. But 1 for 3, and Nate, most importantly, he put the ball in play and good things happen.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can get runners over to third base the way that they could and the way that they were moving them over, again, that puts you in a position to just be able to do that, and that's executing.
Soika ropes that one foul down the right side, 1 and 2.
I think the good news is for Soika, too, is it still counts just the same when you look at the stats. You know, when you look at the numbers, it counts just the same as it always does. So that's what matters.
Here's the 1-2. Slams this one in a right. Good swing by Soika. That's a leadoff single. 99 in a right field off the bat of Soika. His 200th at bat of the season here with the Whitecaps. It's a successful one. Leadoff runner for West Michigan.
And the better he can get at hitting that inside edge, you know, a lot of different pitchers you've seen in previous series like to work him inside, but was able to shorten up his hands, feed that one into right.
1 on, nobody out. Here comes Steven Hrustich, a faithful follower of the Pella Windows pregame show. Takes outside, 1 ball and no strikes. He was just sitting in the dugout watching down the third base line as we were talking about all the things going on here at the ballpark here this week. Former Michigan Wolverine, played his last college year in Ann Arbor. We were talking about the Tigers affiliation. The year after he left, as he pops this one up right side, should be room for the first baseman Carrington Cross. 1 away. But Brandon Inge, of course, was here in West Michigan and went on to a great career with the Tigers. He was helping out with the Michigan Wolverines baseball program the last couple of years. His son, Tyler, also a very talented player in his own right. Here's Luke Schliger with 1 out, who was robbed from a home run in his game yesterday. It was Kavaris Tears in right field, who went up over the yellow line in that area that separates the 2 bullpens from one another. It's a pullback, what would have been Schliger's 4th home run of the season. And he's behind in the count after a cut and a miss, 0-2.
And we've seen some unbelievable defensive plays in the outfield the last couple of weeks. I mean, a few home run robberies, including the other day from Jackson. But, you know, we also had mentioned the turn in development for Luke Schliger coming over from one organization to another. And whatever it is that the Tigers wanted from him, it's clear that he has the tools to make it work.
No balls, 2 strikes. Soika, the team's leader in stolen bases, over at first. There he goes. This one is popped up a mile high. Soika has to hit the brakes, go back towards first. Cross makes the catch. There's out number 2. Nice job by Soika to scamper back to the bag before getting doubled off. That is a nerve-wracking feeling when you are Andrew Soika to have to hit the brakes and run as fast back to the bag as you did trying to leave the base.
Right, because you hear everyone yelling at you the minute that one's popped up in the air. Good idea, especially with the way that Luke Schliger's been driving the baseball. That's not a bad idea given Soika's speed, but good job getting back.
There he goes again. In for a strike, the throw to second. Soika not winded at all from his little cardio trip. Stolen base, it's number 18, and the Cavs have a runner in scoring position with 2 out. I must have been thinking, there's no way he's going to run on that pitch, not after the workout he just had.
I guess that's what Fort Wayne was thinking too, so I guess in one way or another it kind of works out.
Juan Hernandez is the batter for the Whitecaps. Didn't play yesterday. As he fires this one down the left field line. This one foul into the net. 0-2. Well, we are hoping, and we are keeping our fingers crossed, that a pair of former Tigers, the ones that we are celebrating here today, will be up here in the booth with us coming up in a little bit. Fernando Rodney and Alex Avila. They both threw out ceremonial first pitches today. 0-2. Hernandez shoots it to short. The catch is made by DeCrisio.
Leading off for Fort Wayne, the second baseman, number 3, Oswaldo Linares.
Hi, my name is Daron Liranzo. This is Whitecap Baseball.
Well, let's go to the third. No score. West Michigan and Fort Wayne on a very pleasant night for baseball. It's cooled off a little bit. It's a beautiful night. West Michigan celebrating the Tigers and 30 years of being affiliated with us here in West Michigan. Strike one to Oswaldo Linares. It was kind of a busy day around the baseball stratosphere. We'll dive into a couple of those stories. This one's fouled back 0-2. And I think the first thing that it starts with is Justin Verlander, who announced today that this season's going to be his last in Major League Baseball. Going to hang him up after a Hall of Fame career in Major League Baseball. Of course, one that started and now will come to its end as a Tiger. Linares takes one over the inside corner. Another strikeout. That's 4 for Ben Jacobs.
West Michigan fell in love with its Tigers affiliate.
4 of his last 5 batters, he's retired via the punch-out. 1 away for the number 9 hitter, Zach Evans.
And the write-up about Ben Jacobs, too, is that he's such a field pitcher. A hitter-to-hitter basis, has such a good feel for the zone and for scouting reports, and he's gotten a couple of strikeouts on that fastball. So it's really been throwing that one with conviction today.
Outside to Evans, it's 1-0.
On the point of Verlander, though, you know, you had a feeling that that would be the case with, you know, how everything has gone this year from a health perspective, and it just seems like it's just getting to that point.
Yeah, body's not been cooperating very much this year with Justin Verlander.
And it just gets to that point, you know, with Father Time. And so I think the fact that he gets to celebrate his final season with Detroit and with this organization, I think it's something that it means a lot to people.
He's also added to the American League roster as part of the Legends picks this year. So he will be headed to the All-Star game. I can't imagine we'll see him play, but certainly is worthy of being mentioned and nominated and honored for a career well done. This one's down low to Evans, ball 4, a 4-pitch walk for Ben Jacobs. That breaks a string of 7 in a row retired by the Detroit Tigers' number 5 prospect. Back to the top of the order, and Justin DeCrisio.
In a lot of ways, though, I mean, it's very long and obviously storied career, and he played a lot deeper in his career than most pitchers ever would. So the fact that he's gotten this far is really impressive, but sometimes the body just, not that it gives up on you, but you just get to a certain point to where you really have to call it. But a great career, and obviously loved following it every step of the way.
And he won 3 Cy Youngs over the course of his long career that spans 21 years. Fastball down the middle, quickly 0-2. And we were having a conversation up here in the booth before the ball game about which version of Justin Verlander was best. Was it the Tigers version, or was it the one that ended up playing for the Houston Astros after that handful of seasons in his mid-30s? 0-2, fouled away. So there are a couple of arguments there on both sides. He won 2 of his 3 Cy Youngs as a member of the Astros, but he also had his best 2 seasons in terms of wins above replacement during his Tigers tenure, 2011 and 2012. Of course, that was the team that went to the World Series. 0-2 is outside. Get a load of this, Nate. Over those 2 seasons combined the postseason and the regular season, Justin Verlander threw over 500 innings in those 2 years. 1-2 pitch. Lofts it foul, first base side. It's still 1-2. And if we remember anything about Justin Verlander, was that he pitched pretty much as deep into any postseason game as any pitcher we saw in his era.
Which again adds to how impressive it is that he's been able to last and stick around for as long as he has.
DeCrisio to short. Rayner, Hayden, Campbell scoops and not in time. DeCrisio is safe. Little too much speed to get him at first base. That'll bring up Cason Wells.
But I think that's what, you know, most Tigers fans at least remember. Certainly I remember about Justin Verlander was, you know, just how much of a warrior he was in the postseason, and just how much of that burden he was willing to take on himself to kind of shoulder that load and get the Tigers all the way to the World Series. That's, I think, a lot of fans remember that the most.
Little inside to Cason Wells. I think it's easy to forget just how utterly dominant he was during really a different stretch of postseasons in Detroit. But none were bigger than what he did in 2013. That was the year that the Tigers got eliminated by the Boston Red Sox. But that year, Verlander's postseason ERA was 0.39. 1-0 pitch is popped up left side. It's playable. Hernandez gives away, and it's the catcher Schliger who defers to Hernandez, and it falls between the two. Well, that's a tough ball for Schliger, the catcher, to get. I don't know if Hernandez heard Schliger call for that baseball, but you can clearly see those two. And that fall directly between the two of them. So Ben Jacobs will need a 4-out inning for all intents and purposes here in the third. That'll bring out Dan Rickleball, the pitching coach.
And the reason why Dan Rickleball is coming out is he saw that immediate reaction from Ben Jacobs when that one fell in. And I get the frustration. Hernandez had the better angle on that baseball, and I don't know if he heard Schliger or necessarily he saw him, because at the very end you saw Luke Schliger kind of speed up towards that baseball as it was hanging up in the air. So I think Hernandez is in one way trying to avoid a collision, but also maybe he heard Schliger at the same exact time. So could have been one or the other, but nonetheless, it's the physical reaction from Jacobs that Dan Rickleball is just trying to get him to calm down and buckle in. Because you're right, this start does mean a lot. And obviously he's established a level of consistency with the strikeouts, so that's a frustrating one not to get.
And moreover, with 2 outs, that goes as a base hit. And because of that going as a base hit, Jacobs still has to do the heavy lifting if he wants to get out of this inning. He's got to go through the number 3 hitter as Cross smacks one to left. It's deep, but it should be playable. Hrustich is there, and it only costs Ben Jacobs.
Leading off for the Whitecaps, second baseman, number 6, Woody Haydean.
To the bottom of the third, no score. All is quiet here in West Michigan as the first pitch to Woody Haydean. Bends inside, the leadoff man for the Whitecaps. Be followed by Bryce Rayner and Ricardo Hurtado in the Whitecaps half of the third inning. At this scoreless tie, Ben Jacobs has gotten through 3 scoreless, and now we'll hope that his offense can get him a little help. Up high to Woody. 2 balls and no strikes. That one misses away, 3-0. So get a load of this. The last 2 Tuesdays that we have played here in West Michigan, we have seen both ends of the time of game spectrum, to say the least. This one inside, ball 4, he lost him. There's a leadoff walk for Woody. Leadoff base runner here in the bottom of the third. So 2 Tuesdays ago, the Whitecaps lost to the Lake County Captains by a final score of 20-11 in a game that was longer in the post-pitch clock era than any other 9-inning game in Whitecaps history. 4 hours and 2 minutes. That's a long game for 9 innings. And then came yesterday. This one's all the way to the backstop. Wild pitch for Chourio, and Haydean scoots over to second. Yesterday, the Whitecaps had their shortest game of the season. As Bryce Rayner decides to be a patron to watch that all the way to the padded wall. That's going to send out the catcher Lamar King Jr. to go chat with Chourio. Also be joined by Oswaldo Linares. 1 ball and no strikes. 1 hour and 58 minutes for yesterday's ball game. We were flying here in West Michigan. And during a day game, nonetheless. At the early start yesterday. Here's the 1-0 Rayner. Slashes it down the left field line. That's a fair ball to the corner for Bryce Rayner. On a night we celebrate 30 years of affiliation with the Tigers, their number 2 prospect comes through to give the Whitecaps the lead.
And we talked a lot about opposite field approach. Even mentioned it yesterday with Clayton Campbell and what it takes to teach your body how to shoot a baseball the opposite way in a situation like that. And I think Bryce is just effortless. At least it seems effortless, physically speaking. He gets the ball right down the middle, and he shoots it the opposite way. Doesn't roll over it, doesn't try to pull it at all, just pushes it right to the left side. That's, again, it just continues to impress me with how he does that.
1-0 Whitecaps in their half of the third. It brings up the DH Ricardo Hurtado, who takes outside. You know, we talked about Bryce Rayner's first at bat tonight. He had a base hit in a right center field, 110 miles per hour off the bat on his swing in the first inning. And you think when you go to the opposite field, you would think that you would have to maybe take a different type of swing. This one drops in for a strike. Maybe alter a way that you approach the baseball. Maybe it comes off your bat a little differently. Bryce Rayner's hit to the left field corner, that double we just saw, 109 miles per hour to the opposite field. As Hurtado takes high, 2 balls, 1 strike. It is something to be able to hit the baseball with that kind of velocity to any part of the field.
It's a mix of 2 things. It's a mix of physics, but it's also a mix of Bryce is just that strong, and he continues to get stronger.
2-1 is a big cut and a miss, evens up 2 balls, 2 strikes. And I'll take it a step farther. It's also the baseball IQ of feeling like you know how your opponent's going to pitch you.
Yeah, well, knowing it, you know, embracing it, learning how to do those things. But, you know, they always talk about let the bat do the work. That's like that one swing from Bryce is a prime example of that.
2-2 leaves it alone, down and away. Tough pitch to lay off there for Hurtado. 3-2.
As we talk about, sometimes hitting coaches will teach you to literally throw the bat in order to adjust your body and your hands to snapping it out in front and letting it do the work.
3-2. Hurtado takes high and tight. Ball 4. 94 up in the zone. Hurtado's on base for the first time today. 3 straight have reached for the Whitecaps in their half of inning number 3. Brings up Jackson Strong. Strong had a walk his first time up, was 0 for 3 with a run batted in yesterday's win. As he swings and shoots a high fly in a shallow center field. Long run for Cason Wells, but he's under it, and he's got it for out number 1. Strong first pitch shopping. Just mishit that one ever so slightly. He's out number 1 here in the third.
The truth is, I love the idea, though. I mean, you're dealing with a situation where 3 straight hitters have gone up. They've got on, we've scored a run. You know, Chorio wants to get across strike 1 so desperately and just tries to rear back on a fastball that time. You're right, Jackson just missed it.
2 on, 1 out, Clayton Campbell, who nearly had as many base hits yesterday as the entire Fort Wayne TinCaps. Foul tips his first offering into the glove of the catcher Lamar King Jr. It's strike 1. TinCaps as a team had 4 hits as the Whitecaps bullpen skated past this TinCaps team with a 3-0 shutout. 4 hits as a team. Campbell was 3 for 4 on his own. Snap throw back, checking on Rayner, back in time. Rayner's got 10 stolen bases. He and Andrew Soika, the only Whitecaps, add in Jackson Strong as well, that have double-digit stolen bases this year. Down and away. Did not go around. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Good selectiveness, too. You see him go early breaking balls here, both of them away from Campbell. Lays off that last one. It's a hard slider to hit if he's on top of it.
Outside. Well, there was one other Whitecap that had double-digit stolen bases. He's not technically on the roster anymore, but Patrick Lee.
Yes. That almost just felt like a given. I think we kind of lose track because of just how quick he is.
2-1. Outside. King thought about throwing down to first base, but he didn't have a first baseman on the bag. 3-1 on Clayton. Yeah, when you go back and you look through Patrick Lee's West Michigan numbers during the time he was here this year, and it wasn't as much as you might think. He actually just played 21 games. Runners go outside corner, throw to third, and it's not in time. Double steal for West Michigan. Clayton Campbell's got 2 on in scoring position with 1 out here in the third.
And the truth is that, you know, I think Churio and the TinCaps probably could have done a little bit more to at least keep the Caps honest there. Bryce was getting a very comfortable lead off of second base and just allowed him to take third easily.
Infield stays back. Campbell fouls it away. Interesting to see Fort Wayne leave their infield back in a situation like that. Especially when you've got 2 strikes on the batter in Campbell. He's got 28 runs batted in. Had a lot of things yesterday. The only thing he didn't have was a run batted in. And he's got a walk here instead. Bases are loaded for the Whitecaps. That brings up Andrew Soika, who had one of the better swings for West Michigan. But the question now becomes, will he get a chance to face him? Fort Wayne's bullpen looks like they've got somebody warming up as we speak. Well, let's see if we can get eyes on that Fort Wayne bullpen to see just exactly who is warming up. There he is. So a left-hander throwing for the TinCaps. That is Javier Chacon, the native of Havana, Cuba. So a quick conversation between the pitching coach and you're going to love to know who the pitching coach is in Fort Wayne. Former Detroit Tigers pitcher Yorman Bizzardo. Here's Soika, takes outside. I was looking at that name on the list. I almost didn't believe it when we saw it yesterday. He was a Tiger in 2007 and 2008, and he had a nice little cameo in 07. 1-0. Soika drives it in the air to center field. Will it be deep enough? Cason Wells in medium depth center field makes the catch. Rainer's coming home. The throw is cut off by the shortstop, DeCrisio. It's a sac fly. Andrew Soika making a living with these productive outs here in this series. 2-0 Whitecaps.
And really not the flashiest of ABs, whether that be yesterday or obviously today here with the sac fly. But, you know, flashy and effective aren't always in the same sentence. They don't always have to be together. Effective matters the most. And you're right. They've all been effective swings for him.
First and second, 2 outs. Stephen Hrustich bats for the Whitecaps. Nate will have a look at scores at the end of this half inning. Hrustich takes strike 1. So Bizzardo, 0-7 with the Tigers, 2-1 with a 2.28 ERA. It's pretty good. 23 innings, 19 hits, and 15 strikeouts. Also played for the then Florida Marlins, also the Houston Astros. And also one of the most memorable names of this century for the Detroit Tigers. 1-1. Hrustich slams it high and deep to left. Costello looks, it is gone! Stephen Hrustich, home run number 4. There's 5 in the third for the Whitecaps, and they've blown it open here in the early go.
Big fan of the pregame show and a big fan of taking big swings. And left over the middle of the plate. Listen, we know he has the power to do so. That's a hanging breaking ball, turns on it and burns it out to left field for a 3-run home run. Just didn't get to see a lot of that in the early season because of the injury concerns. But again, seasoned college bat and a lot of pop behind him too.
So we finished the pregame show today, and he looks at us and he says, "How do you talk for that much time without stuttering?"
That makes winning easy. See what Acrissure's extraordinary advantage can do for you.
Luke Schliger at the plate. 2 outs, bases empty. Steven Hrustich with a 3-run home run, and the first pitch to Schliger is a bouncer to first. Javier Chacon gets the feed from his first baseman cross, and we'll have a special surprise for you coming up in just a matter of moments. Don't have to wait very long either. We'll tell you who that is after the first pitch to Alex McCoy. He's the right fielder of the Fort Wayne TinCaps. 3-0 was the Whitecaps before that 3-run shot off the bat of Steven Hrustich. It's 5-0. Good guys on top. Tigers have a 3-0 lead over the Oakland, not the Oakland Athletics. It still says it on the video board here. It keeps throwing me off. But we do get a chance to celebrate all things Whitecaps and Tigers today here at LMCU Ballpark, celebrating 30 years of affiliation. As this one's fouled back, it's 0-2 on McCoy, and to help us celebrate, the one and only Alex Avila. 2008 West Michigan Whitecap. Now he's in the booth. Is this your first time up here in the booth, Alex?
First time up in this booth, yeah.
I figured
yeah,
as much. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Appreciate that. We were just kind of, me and Fernando, reminiscing about our first times coming here to Grand Rapids and playing for the Whitecaps. And yeah, I got drafted in 2008, and right from the draft got sent here and played the last half of the season here in Grand Rapids. So it was quite the turnaround from Tuscaloosa, Alabama to Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Now I'm trying to remember. Was your manager Tom Brookins?
No.
Who was your manager that year?
Tom Brookie was my manager in AA. My manager here with the Whitecaps was Joe DiPastino.
Joe DiPastino.
Yeah,
Got
Joe
it.
D. He was that year was also my first year catching. So that year at Alabama, I started catching, got drafted, and Joe D was a catcher himself when he played professionally, and he was tasked to try to, make me into a better catcher, which at the time I was not a very good catcher. So I just remember a lot of early days out on the field before the games, just working on fundamentals.
Now, remind us, so those of people who are listening right now who don't remember the pre-catching Alex Avila version, what were you before you became a full-time catcher?
So I played third base and first base and also DH at Alabama. And going into my junior year, that summer I was playing in the Cape Cod League, and we needed a catcher, and we had a freshman third baseman coming in that was good enough to start. And so I get a call from our head coach, and he goes, "Alex, what do you think about getting behind the plate? You still hit in the middle of the order, catch a few games, DH a few games." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And it turned out to be a great decision.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. Jack Costello ropes one foul down the line. 1 out. We're in the top of the fourth. 5-0 West Michigan over Fort Wayne. Talking with Alex Avila, one of the 2 distinguished guests here tonight as we celebrate 30 years of Whitecaps and the Detroit Tigers together. I was going to ask you if you had an inkling as to who might draft you during those days at Alabama, but Dad was also in the picture there too, as this one gets roped high and deep to left, and it's out of here. Jack Costello has his 10th home run of the year. No doubter. Got it to the deepest part of the ballpark. Home run puts the TinCaps on the board here in the fourth. So you knew it was going to be the Tigers, right?
I actually didn't. I thought there was a good chance that the Dodgers would draft me.
All right.
And if my memory serves me correct, their pick was after the Tigers. And going into that 5th round, I think that if the Tigers didn't draft me, I would have ended up probably a Dodger at that point. And a lot of people don't remember too. I have a lot of family lineage and history with the Dodgers, so I think they were on me just as much as the Tigers were over the course of my career at Alabama.
What can you tell us about your history with the Dodgers? Because all Tigers fans always know about your history with the Tigers organization.
Sure. Well, my grandfather worked for the Dodgers for a little over 50 years as international scout and their vice president of Latin American operations. His best friend was Tommy Lasorda, who I'm also named after. My middle name is Thomas. So that's our family history goes way back with the Dodgers organization first. Before then, my dad started with the Marlins, and then eventually made his way over in 2003 with Dave Dombrowski in Detroit. And so a lot of baseball history there with the family.
I am sure that if you had an interaction with him, if you were fortunate enough to, I'm guessing you were. Tell us about when you met Tommy Lasorda.
Well, I remember many times Tommy being either at my house, my grandparents' house, where we'd be out in a restaurant, because he'd always make a point to come down to South Florida, see my grandparents and my parents. And I just remember him and my grandfather constantly arguing about players, talking about the game. There were times like if, depending on when he was in town, he'd go to my Little League games and he'd watch my Little League game.
You're kidding.
And I'd always remember, like, there would be a line. Once people, kind of recognized that, hey, Tommy Lasorda is sitting in the bleachers of this random Little League game on a Wednesday night, all of a sudden the entire park would be lined up to get his autograph, and he'd make everyone wait and stop when I would come up to hit, so he could watch my at-bat. Then he'd get on signing autographs for everybody.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because we always have this saying here that the most dangerous thing is a player whose family and friends are in town. And, obviously your dad was busy with being a baseball executive, of course, your grandfather as well. But, one of the great core memories that is made playing baseball, as this is a cut and a miss for strike 3. Ben Jacobs gets through the 4th, giving up the solo home run and nothing further. We'll keep it right here during this timeout. But I am curious, because you do have these opportunities to have family, friends come out.
Chris Ilitch and my dad decide, okay, we're going to start, reset and start a rebuild here. And since my name was already kind of in the rumor mill, he just kind of kept me abreast of all the conversations he was having with the teams. And, so leading up to that deadline, I had a feeling that it was going to happen. He even told me, like, hey, if you don't want me to trade you, I won't. But I'm like, no, do what you think is best for the organization. Funny story, leading up to that deadline, Seattle was also a team that was inquiring, and he was telling me a funny story that he had when they called him about possibly trading for me. He's like, no way I'm trading Alex to Seattle. I'll never see my grandkids.
That's smart.
So he kind of waited for the best deal, and obviously got a pretty good one, trading me to Chicago and bringing back Candelario and Paredes. Yeah,
that's true. That was one of the better trades that we had seen over the course of that era of Tigers baseball. So they had that going for them. I am curious about this ballpark right now, because this is a ballpark that has changed. And by the way, Hernandez with a little flare towards third. It's caught by the charging third baseman in Evans into shallow left field for out number 1. I would imagine that this place doesn't look quite the way you remember it.
No, it's a little different, that's for sure. I mean, it was still probably one of the nicer ballparks to play in the Midwest League when I was here. It still is, definitely. I couldn't believe. I went through the clubhouse today too when I got here.
Did you like that?
I could not believe what the guys have today, as far as what their amenities, the batting cage, the clubhouse, their lounge area. The clubhouse when I was here was more like a high school locker room, which I wouldn't trade for anything. I had made some great memories.
Up the middle in his center field, 1-out single for Woody Hayden.
But right now, it is fantastic to where, if you're a player now playing here, in Grand Rapids, why would you want to go anywhere else? In the minor league system, you have phenomenal facilities, great crowds every day, and good place to play.
I wanted to ask, too, about the reception from the fans here tonight, because I think one of the special things about West Michigan is that we are affiliated with the Tigers. We're in-state. All these fans that come out are Tigers fans as well. How was the reception today and seeing everybody?
Oh, amazing. And, I mean, me and Fernando have been signing autographs in the concourse over the course of the game, and the amount of times I would get from fans of, not just Whitecaps fans, but, Tigers fans coming up with not only Tiger memorabilia for me to sign, but also stories of, some of the great teams we had in 2011, 12, 13, 14, and how, guys, I want to say, people a little bit younger than me that were like, I remember those Tigers teams. That was my childhood. Watching those teams with you and Verlander and Scherzer and Porcello and those guys, and it makes me happy to hear that because.
Rayner blasts that one to deep left center. That one is gone. What a night for Bryce Rayner. A 2-run shot. The Tigers' number 2 prospect is on a heater. He's got exit velos of 109, 110, and here 111. 7-1 Whitecaps here in the 4th.
That was a heck of a swing right there. I mean, fastball outer half, and he just left center field off the scoreboard. That was a really pretty left-handed swing.
428 off that video board. And I would imagine that now, as you get a chance to watch, in this case, a player on his come up like a Bryce Rayner, you see the game a little bit differently. And I know you haven't seen much of a guy like Bryce Rayner, but you have seen some other guys. You've been watching a lot of Tigers baseball this year, and a guy who was here literally at this time last year was Kevin McGonigal. And now to be able to see what he's done in the major leagues, nothing short of incredible.
Yeah, I think a lot of young guys nowadays are way more equipped to handle. I think that's why you see a lot of guys get to the big leagues a little bit quicker. Rayner, that swing right there, like, I hate to say it, he's probably not going to be playing here very, very long.
Don't say that too loudly, Alex.
But
that's all the time we have with Alex.
Yeah, right. Guys like him or McGonigal, they're so much better equipped, going into professional baseball nowadays. I think even back, from when I came up, my year here, I think I hit 1 home run. And, even though I hit okay, there was still a lot more development that had to happen, even though I did get to the big leagues fairly quickly. But guys like McGonigal, which is, I remember I was broadcasting the game when the Tigers were in the Dominican Republic playing the Dominican national team before the WBC, and watching his at-bats was extremely impressive. And the whole talk of spring training was, is he going to make the team? And I remember doing those games for MLB Network, and that was one of the questions that was kind of posed to us. And we're watching the games. He had great at-bats, and how do you keep this kid out of the lineup and not to make the team? Because he looks like their best hitter right now. Mm-hmm. And, that's how special that kid is. And he's certainly putting up a show and getting to go to the Midsummer Classic this year, too.
That's right. One of 3 former Whitecaps turned Tigers that are going to the Baseball All-Star Game this year. Kevin McGonigal, Dylan Dingler, and Riley Green. As this one's down low, ball 4. Hurtado gets a 1-out walk. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the fact that the news came out today that your longtime battery mate Justin Verlander announced that he's going to be hanging it up after this season. What thoughts come to your mind when you see the news like that?
Yeah, well, first off, what an amazing career. Just an absolute horse. The type of guy, every time he was on the mound, there was such a confidence that went through everybody that we were going to win that day. That's how dominant he was throughout his Tigers career, and even in his Astros career, just as good. But he's been a longtime friend. We still keep in touch. If I'm being honest, I knew this was probably going to happen a couple of weeks ago, and I'm glad he's able to kind of finish it in Detroit, though, because I know that's something he had thought about and talked about with me over the last couple of years, that he really wanted to come back and give it one more go in Detroit. And but just what an amazing player, incredible work ethic. You're not going to see a pitcher like him. He's kind of a dying breed, his generation of pitcher.
You're not wrong. We were talking about the 2011 and 2012 seasons as they've got Strong picked off. Throw to second, that is in time. Wrapping up here with Alex Avila. He threw
and actually win a World Series one of those years, but still doesn't take away to the fact that we had a great run.
Yeah. Well, and keep this in mind too. No matter what, you're attached to so many great memories for so many Tigers fans, for a franchise that was just desperate for a competitive and a successful baseball team. On that front, you guys delivered on all counts. Alex Avila, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate you coming up and spending an inning with us.
No, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me.
That is Alex Avila here as we celebrate the affiliation here with the Detroit Tigers and 30 years of which. And now we'll get a chance to bring in our next guest of honor. And I cannot tell you how excited I am that we have a battery that actually played with one another in Major League Baseball, and he is the proud owner of what was known as the Bugs Bunny changeup. Here's a foul straight back. Look out. Fernando, if one comes up here, you're actually going to grab it, okay? Good to see you. Welcome, Ben.
Hey, how are you?
It's been a long time since you've been in this ballpark, huh?
It's a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks. Fernando was a part of the 2000 West Michigan Whitecaps. Fernando Rodney joins us here inside our broadcast booth, and now you're back here in West Michigan. It was a long major league career. What is it like to be back?
Oh, yeah, like when I come in early today, I saw the field. I said, wow, everything changed. Look beautiful stadium, and like when I come here, my first time is nothing like different, but it look nice right now. It look beautiful.
Yeah, we're very lucky, and to be able to have you here as well. There's been a lot of great players that have come through West Michigan, and you played with a lot of really good players in the minor leagues. Who do you remember playing with as you came up to the big leagues?
Remember, Pujols played here.
Albert Pujols.
Adam Dunn.
Adam Dunn, right.
And what's the other guy?
Those are two scary power hitters, by the
yeah,
way. They're probably not fun for you to see.
They play with Dayton, right?
They did. That's right.
Yeah.
You got a good memory, Fernando.
Oh, right now I got that two guys.
There's certainly a whole lot of guys that have had success in this league. What I loved about looking up some of your West Michigan numbers was you used to be a starting pitcher here. It was a long time ago now, huh?
Yeah, when we come here, they ask me, what you want to do? I say, whatever you decided, I do it. I just want to be part of the team and help the team to win.
So I have to show you. This is your bobblehead. You've probably seen this before. We actually had it as this one gets grounded to third off the bat of DeCrisio over to first in time, and the inning is over.
I come to play baseball, like starting my career, improve my career. I think it's Michigan Whitecaps.
It's a big adjustment, too, from where you were to where you came.
Yeah.
Outside to Clayton Campbell, 1 ball, no strikes. We're in the bottom of the 5th, 7-1 Whitecaps on top. Fernando Rodney is joining us. You got a chance to throw to the guy we just talked to.
I'm ready.
Not as much, but, you know, you obviously threw on some great teams. I keep thinking back to 2006 because that was the year that nobody saw coming. You guys had that unbelievable run to the World Series, and for all of those games in the back end, it was 7th inning Joel Zumaya, 8th inning Fernando Rodney, 9th inning Todd Jones. And you guys were such a big reason why you guys ended up going to the World Series that year. What do you remember about 2006?
Well, I think we do a very good job because in 2003 we lost a lot of games.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So when you lose a lot of games, and you keep the same group of the guy, what they bring the piece we need to get better. Because we have Jimmy Bondelman, Nate Robertson.
Campbell high and deep to left. That one's up, and that one is gone. Clayton Campbell, who finished a home run shy of hitting for the cycle yesterday, has his home run here today. Caps are pouring it on here in the 5th. It's 8-1. You mentioned Jeremy Bonderman.
Nate Robertson.
Nate Robertson. It's gum time. Go on.
Nate Cornejo was in 2003. Mike Maroth, I think.
Mike Maroth, that's right.
And they bring the veteran Kenny Rogers in 2006. Maglio Ordóñez. Berlande was there.
You had some great teammates.
He's the kid. So this guy put everything together. We put everything together. The bullpen put everything together, and forget what happened in the past, and let's go play ball.
It had to be fun watching all of that join you in the big leagues because you were there before everybody else was. You guys had to really learn a lot of hard lessons on the fly. This one's fouled back this way. Told you, Fernando, you're going to end up with a foul ball here before this day is over.
Be more close. Don't worry.
Well, Fernando, I want to leave this with you. Is there anything you'd like to say to these people in West Michigan, people that stood in line and waited for your autograph today, and obviously have so many great memories of you and the Detroit Tigers, along with the Whitecaps?
The first one, I want to appreciate the fan here who have been following me all my career. And a lot of Whitecap fans is like Detroit fans. They know me everywhere here. And like you say, I have to go back and finish signing autograph and take a picture with the kid. And hope we'll see you guys soon.
Fernando Rodney, really appreciate everything you do here tonight and everything you did over a long, great career. Can't wait to see you again. Thanks for coming to visit.
Thank you, guys.
That is Fernando Rodney here inside our Gordon Food Service broadcast booth here in West Michigan. What a fun night it is to be able to celebrate some huge moments. And Fernando was quick to point out 7 runs over the course of them being in here right now. 5 in the third, 2 more in the fourth, and now the Clayton Campbell home run. Fernando Rodney joining us in our broadcast booth. The Bugs Bunny changeup owner himself. Also, a huge thanks to Alex Avila, cutting a miss by Hrustic. 1 ball, 1 strike. We always have a rule. If you're going to interrupt a bunch of home runs and big plays, you have to have at least played for 1 World Series.
What a really good opportunity to talk to both of those two, and obviously a lot of fond memories here. Hi, Crash. How are you? But yeah, it's just really good insight from both of them, and yeah, it was a great opportunity.
I could listen to those two talk all night, and you know, there are so many of us that really felt connected to those teams, the 06 team especially, because you know, if you went through 06, odds were you went through 2003, and you saw a team that struggled so mightily and went through so much pain and hardship. But then to come out of it 3 years later and go to the World Series when nobody saw it coming, for a lot of people, they equate that as their most enjoyable year, not only being a Tigers fan, but as just being a sports fan in general. There's ball 4 to Hrustic. He's on base. He's got a 1-out walk here in the 5th inning. But Alex Avila was a huge part of that. And of course, Fernando Rodney was such a big part of it as well. We didn't get a chance to talk about the fact that he got better as his career went on. We were talking about his mid-30s and what he was able to do as his career progressed. Multi-time All-Star. And for the longest time, we had this little page in the Whitecaps media guide that talks about the Whitecaps in the majors. And for years, I just had to keep on shrinking the font on all the different team names that he had played for along the way. Luke Schleger's the batter. Takes inside, 1 ball, no strikes. Well, we appreciate you allowing us to indulge in the fact that tonight was the affiliation celebration and everything that is 30 years of West Michigan Whitecaps and Detroit Tigers baseball. Luke Schleger takes outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Nate will have the call when we begin the 6th inning. And I'll tell you what, we've had a lot of nights up here in the booth over the years. Today became one of the more memorable ones. And for a handful of years, this one's outside, ball 4. Schleger gets a walk from Javier Chacon. We have, over the years, had a handful of former Tigers players. I think back to guys like Nate Robertson or Placido Polanco or Cecil Fielder. They've all been up here, but never have we had 2 players, one after the other.
Yeah, back to back too, and in the same room. I mean, I think that's it's kind of what adds to how cool that was, and I had a feeling that might be the case, but
I don't think I've ever seen a major leaguer sitting here in between us with another major leaguer patiently waiting in the other chair.
Right, exactly. No, and that's, yeah, I mean, that's all that combined was really fun.
How
And
lucky are we?
Yeah, especially to hear what Alex had to say about those Tigers teams. It pretty much summed it all up.
Here's Juan Hernandez with 2 on and 1 out. Knocks this on the ground and off the glove across into shallow right field. That allows a run to score as motoring across is Steven Hrustic. Down to second goes Hernandez. Give the Caps another run in the fifth. It's 9-1. Hard hit from Hernandez. But in a game like this, you can understand how Fort Wayne might be feeling the effects after this huge rush of offense from West Michigan.
Yeah, well, and that one just, I mean, the way it skipped and hopped at the very end, too, because it came off the bat so hard, Hernandez, just really difficult one to knock down for Cross. Good swing from Hernandez, too, especially after that snag earlier in the game. I will tell you, though, I really did enjoy Alex Avila providing his color analysis on Bryce Rayner's home run. That was fun. That felt like, I feel like I've heard this before.
By the way, that's going to go as an error on the first baseman Carrington Cross. So E3, no RBI on that play. Woody Hayden, 1 ball, 1 strike. He's had a lot of great success, and if we had more time, we would have probably talked about his move into broadcasting. That is a whole different perspective, and only so many players are able to make that jump, and he has really nicely. Grounded to short. Let's look at another run home. Over to first. Hayden is out, a run scores, and it's ice cream drumsticks for everyone. Make it 10-1 West Michigan here in the bottom of the fifth. Double-digit runs for the Whitecaps today. I should rephrase. Drumsticks for all the players and coaches.
You can also get drumsticks if you're listening along. You just might have to buy them yourself. That's the only thing.
Outside, Bryce Rayner, who homered his last time up, takes outside, 1-0. Yeah, and what a fascinating day to have Alex Avila here after his longtime teammate and probably the one that we always saw. There's Rayner. Laces this one into right center. Another base hit. 4 for 4 day for Bryce. He's going to second, and he's in standing up. All sorts of exit velos from Bryce Rayner today. 109, 110, 111, and 111 again.
And in the name of talking about cycles or potential cycles, well, here you go. I mean, he's got a double, a single, and a homer. Now he just has to find a gap and maybe leg out 3. It's a triple away from doing so.
He should have at least one more at-bat to try and find that. Of course, the Caps nearly had a cycle yesterday for Clayton Campbell, who had a single, a double, and a triple. Of course, as fate would have it, home run today. In the meantime, there's something else riding on this pitch. Hurtado cuts and misses 0-2. Caps would love to get one more run in this inning because there is a promotion. 5 in the 5th. And the Whitecaps are 1 base hit away from putting up 5 runs. First the 0-2. Inside corner, caught him looking.
You'll hang with the right cohorts. You'll be good at sports. Know the slang you've got to know. So let's turn, you've got an awfully long way to go.
Whitecaps on the ticket, West Michigan, on MILB TV, and online at whitecapsbaseball.com.
Our homestand continues here in West Michigan. All kinds of crooked innings all week long. Let's say they have some run support for a very popular former Whitecap, now rehabbing with his former team that he helped make a champion in 2025. Colin Fields is in, and so is Nate Wangler.
Yeah, guess who's back? Colin Fields. This one popped up, backing out of play. It'll make it a ball and a strike. But Fields rehabbing his way back up the system here for Detroit after being on the injured list. It's down in Florida Complex League for a pair of games, then obviously in Lakeland for 2 games, most recently July 3rd. Now he's here with the Caps tonight. Top of the 6th inning. He's got some run support, as Dan mentioned. 11-1 West Michigan as he misses upstairs here to Cason Wells, 2-1.
I know he's on a rehab assignment, but wouldn't it be kind of funny? It's been a while since we've seen him. If he just rolled up and he was throwing 98 miles per hour.
Something happened. This one's lofted into left field, and his first out It's a fly out to left. Rustic pulls it in, one gone.
You could always have that story of when he broke his arm, like that kid in the movie Rookie of the Year, came back and could only throw 100. But no, look, Colin Fields is great and one of our favorite pitchers during our time here in West Michigan, namely just because of the fact that he always did so much with what he had. And his transformation from starter to reliever has turned into one of the better development stories for the Detroit Tigers organization.
And you know, for no other reason than he was one of our best a season ago after making that transition to the bullpen full time after an offseason conversation with the Tigers and changing things around. As he gets another one in the sky, this time left side, just wide of the bag. Hernandez having to readjust. Makes the catch. 2 away here for Alex McCoy, but last season with West Michigan, 8-2, 164 the ERA for Collins.
And for the record,
Fields it is,
for what it's worth,
right,
his fastball is still very capable when you're talking about what needs to happen if you're going to be an MLB pitcher. 92 miles an hour is certainly fast enough. What really gets us is the difference between what he does with his fastball and what his curveball looks like. It's all about changing speeds if you're going to have a fastball like Colin Fields does. And the difference between his curveball and his fastball is literally the meal ticket that Colin Fields has been able to take advantage of so far in his career.
Right field, diving quickly, and Soika a snag to end. Bottom of the 6th inning, and what has been a power display for the Caps. Celebrating 30 years of affiliation with the Detroit Tigers. Alex Avila and Fernando Rodney joining us on the broadcast previously. Got to talk to both of them. As Jackson Strong takes a strike in there, 0-1. By the way, new pitcher into the game here for the Fort Wayne TinCaps. William Koger taking over on the mound. 0-1. In the dirt, 1-1.
So are the Whitecaps of today deciding to celebrate the 30 years of affiliation with the Tigers by scoring 30 runs? That's what I'm trying to figure out at this point.
I mean, we got there together, us and the captains, back last Tuesday, but still got a little bit of room to get there. Jackson Strong trying to get there as he sprays that one foul off to the right, or rather, just behind him. Might have gotten a piece of him too, 1-2. Another peek at this one.
Why does it never hit the shin pad? Why do foul balls never hit the area in which you're trying to protect?
That is a fair question. Sometimes you got to wonder. I imagine catchers feel the same way too. They always get caught flush in areas that aren't padded for whatever reason, as that one misses 2 balls and 2 strikes. And I'm sure Alex Avila probably knows a thing or two about that, and it's just a position you have to be tough in for sure.
Oh, man. Ouch. Was that the same foot? Well, he just whacked it with a bat, so that's a good sign.
Oh my goodness, yeah, same part of the foot too. So Nick Wheeler will come out and have a conversation here with Jackson Strong. Rene Rivera will join him as well. And they'll get him checked out, make sure that he's good to go. But the other thing that I really did enjoy is it looks like he's good to continue going here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, bottom of the 6th. 11-1 the lead for the Caps. LMCU faithful giving Jackson Strong a round of applause. But them talking about just how great the field was, but just how good the stadium was and how much it's changed since they've both been here. Fernando Rodney really talking a lot about the field, but obviously Alex Avila, mentioning that I think he said, he only had 1 home run here. I was going to quickly mention that we brought the walls in, probably too little too late for him, but it's certainly not a ballpark that has ever been nice to hitters. Jackson Strong fouls it off, still 3-2.
Yes, it was even farther away back in the days of Alex Avila. To hit one out, you'd have to hit one the Game Time Fun Park out there in the outfield.
Just about.
He was right, though. He had exactly 1 home run as a Whitecap. And he had a few more as a big leaguer.
Down low to Jackson Strong, ball 4. Each Whitecap has reached base at least once here tonight. As Strong will take first, here's Clayton Campbell. So Campbell will take his cuts with a man on and nobody away here in the bottom of the 6th. Let's get a look at the sun settling behind LMCU Ballpark tonight. That one misses off the inside edge, 1-0.
And, you know, those two probably looked around this ballpark and said, you know what, I showed up in baseball about 20 years too early. Because now you look at these facilities, and Alex was talking about being in the locker room before the ball game today and seeing what it looked like.
Lined right side foul here by Campbell. Yeah, and I think it was really interesting when he mentioned just the amenities that minor leaguers have now and the evolution of how minor leaguers are treated since when he came into baseball, and obviously now. And, you know, it used to be a slower progression up the ladder, but between health and nutrition. It's Clayton Campbell, skips this one up the middle. Snag there, on to first from Linares. That's a double play. 2 away. Here in the 6th inning, that'll bring in Andrew Soika with the bases empty and 2 gone.
I was not aware that Alex Avila didn't get traded to Seattle because Dad wanted to see him more often with the kids.
It makes sense.
I don't think anybody's batting an eye at Jamer Candelario and Isak Paredes coming back. Those were 2 very productive major leaguers.
0-1 here against Soika. But when you consider, just how much that's changed the treatment of minor leaguers really in the last couple of decades, it was interesting to hear him highlight some of that stuff. Misses high and away here to Soika, makes it 1 ball and 1 strike.
I'm still fascinated by the idea of your father having to tell you that he's traded you. Son, you've been traded. I'll see you at home.
Soika, rips this one foul right side. Makes it a ball and 2 strikes against him. I liked how he mentioned it in those conversations with his dad. He even told him, he goes, listen, if you don't want to get traded, I won't trade you. But even Alex having to be like, I guess if it's best for the organization, but it's probably, I guess that was an uncomfortable conversation. No doubt about that. 1-2, cuts on and misses, does Soika, and that'll be the inning here. Colin Fields back to work in the 7th. There's that looping breaking ball we got used to seeing. A half swing and a miss from Jack Costello, that is. No balls and 1 strike. You're into the 7th inning. So another inning of work here for Colin Fields. It's way back up the ladder here for the Tigers. Costello here tonight. The only run on the board for Fort Wayne, a solo home run. Takes that one high and tight here, 1 ball and 1 strike.
So I want to talk about Colin Fields because we always talk about 2 pitches with him. It's always the fastball and the curveball, and rightfully so, because they've been pitches that have played up so well, especially here. You know, like that one.
And there it is, 1-2.
But you know what else he did? Last year we noticed he incorporated a slider. And it was his first year as a starter where he was kind of tinkering with it, kind of learning it, trying to hone it. But it was last year where it really came to life, and that's what separated him.
Tries to spin in a breaking ball there. Skips to the backstop, 2-2.
And that's what allowed him to put together one of the best seasons, really, that any Whitecaps player has had, especially out of the bullpen. I mean, honestly, going back maybe this entire franchise's history. He was the reliever on the postseason All-Star team.
In there, strike 3. Mows him down with a fastball, 1 away as Costello's put away. 4 straight for Colin Fields out of the pen. Here's Lamar King Jr.
So as a Whitecap last year, Colin Fields was 8-2 with a 1.64 ERA. And he gave up 39 hits in 66 innings. And he only walked 15 batters, too.
Yep.
You know, a lot of times you see pitchers that don't give up a lot of hits, but because of that, they're wild, they walk people. He didn't do either.
And much like the rest of that bullpen, too, you think about the playoffs and you think about the signature strikeout he had in the championship game, even in the clutch moments. You know, he was someone that if Tony Capicelli had to turn to one, it was Colin Fields. Just when Ben's blown away, 2 balls and a strike. But again, it's the pitchability, it's the durability. Those were all the things that we really grew to love about Colin Fields. And again, if continue to optimize that arsenal, we'll be in the bigs. 2-1 liner, right side, Soika on a run. He's got it. On the warning track, 2 gone.
So I want to dive in a little deeper on what you just said, because first of all, we all know how hard it is for a player at this level, or Double-A for that matter, to make it up to Major League Baseball, right? We know the numbers, we know the statistics, everything's out there. But this is why somebody like Colin Fields has a pathway to the major leagues. It's because of what he offers, what his offerings look like, the uniqueness of his profile as a pitcher really fits to a T what the Tigers have always said in recent years that they're looking for. And that is pitchers with interesting stuff. And you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that has more interesting stuff in this system than Colin Fields.
Shakes off a few. Now delivers his 1-1. Cut and a miss there. Ball and 2 strikes. And the reason why we talked about the fastball earlier, how it certainly does and it can translate up, is because it can catch hitters by surprise, much like that. That one's down low 2-2. It looks like we got a surprise.
Well, I mean, we were involved in the Whitecaps scoring double-digit runs the same way Juwan Howard was involved in winning an NBA championship. We were just kind of along for the ride.
Right side, snag there by Hayden. Steven Hrustich kicks off the bottom of the 7th. Takes pitch down low, 1 ball and no strikes. Welcome back here on the Whitecaps Baseball Network. Hrustich, Schliger, and Hernandez. Scheduled 3 here for the Caps in this inning here in the bottom of the 7th. 1-0 the count. Fouled off here by Hrustich, evened up at 1-1.
And fielded cleanly by Andrew Soika in the Whitecaps dugout, who I think immediately was worried that his coaches were going to get mad at him. He caught it and sat down so quickly.
Probably a little too clean, yeah. It's a nice play, though. Here's the 1-1 to Hrustich. Cut and a miss, makes it 1-2.
So you want to tell everybody what we got?
Yeah, let's do it. So we got a surprise. And then we talked about the players get drumsticks if they score double-digit runs. That will be the case tonight. However, Hrustich might get an extra one. Well, that one just drops into the glove of Costello. He's going to get plenty tonight. Everyone is. He had that 3-run home run back in the 3rd. We got ourselves some drumsticks. So we'll certainly indulge in that.
You know, we've been hearing about these for years. We had them in the game notes based on all those double-digit performances last year. Now, Tony Capicelli, the former Whitecaps manager, told us that he was paying out of pocket for these. Is he still doing that? Is he sending them to West Michigan? For all we know, he could be still doing it.
He's actually just got a bunch of them saved up that he never actually used. He bought them in stock just in case because he was so sick of going out and buying them. Just misses here to Schliger. 2 balls and no strikes.
He was stocked up for the winter.
Yeah, it's got a big old freezer somewhere. He's got all these piled on in there, but no, there's probably a chance.
I always see the small drumsticks. These are the legitimate drumsticks.
Oh,
These are the big boys.
3 balls and no strikes here against Schlegel. Yes, these are the, and I know we were trying to calculate the price of exactly how much it would cost to get that many drumsticks for that many wins the other night, but unfortunately these ones were on the house for us.
I wonder if they get them if they score double-digit runs like they did a couple of Tuesdays ago and don't win.
Ooh, see, that's something we probably got to run across the players. Down low here to Schlegel, ball 4.
Because these things are not free.
No, they're not.
We put together the numbers last year, and the numbers came to almost $1,000 to pay for this team's penchant of scoring an absurd amount of runs throughout the course of the season.
Well, and you had brought up the point the other day, you know, what do the pitchers get anything if it's a shutout?
Which we saw yesterday.
This one's lined into right field. Schlegel will take the turn at second. He'll be in at third. Juan Hernandez with another good swing here today. An RBI double. And now a single to put him on the corners here for the top of the order, and Woody Haydeen. Man on first, man on third. That'll bring in Woody with 1 away. Lights are on here at LMCU Ballpark tonight. Caps trying to make it a 2-0 start to the series against Fort Wayne before a big trip to Midland. After this 6, just upstairs here to Woody, 1 ball and no strikes.
By the way, what we might also see here in this inning is another Bryce Rayner at bat, and he sits a triple shy of the cycle. So keep that in mind as we go through this frame.
And their first strike, 1-1. Bryce Rayner today had a single in the first, RBI double in the third, came around to score. A 2-run home run in the 4th inning, and an RBI single in the 5th. Woody fouls that one off, makes it a ball and 2 strikes. She got to chat a little bit, ever so briefly, with Bryce Rayner down in the clubhouse before this ball game today.
He did.
I've had the chance to talk with him a few different times. This one came in and nearly got Woody, 2 balls and 2 strikes, but not always a man of many words, but clearly his bat's been doing the talking for him.
Well, and we talked to him about it. You know, one of the things that we noticed that stood out about him was his ability to work counts. A lot of guys that come here from high school have a bit of a learning curve or an adjustment, but not so much Bryce Rayner.
Outside here to Woody Haydeen, 3-2.
Speaking of which, you've got a guy up here in Woody Haydeen who has been nothing short of tremendous for this Whitecaps team all season long. Spent a ton of time being out with an injury, and Rene Rivera, we spoke with him before the ball game, and he talked about those injuries and how difficult they were. I would imagine that the injury to Haydeen was right there at the top of the list.
And that one misses outside.
I don't think you want to load the bases for the guy coming to the plate today.
Does not seem like the right idea. That one misses. Another walk in this inning, a pair of them for West Michigan. And now here comes Bryce Rayner. We were on cycle watch yesterday with Clayton Campbell. Now Bryce Rayner with his opportunity. A 4-hit day. He's driven in 4 runs already. And he feeds this one into right field. Schlegel comes home. Right behind him is Juan Hernandez. And he gets in. Add another 2 for Bryce Rayner.
That's a 6 RBI day.
6 runs driven in for the Tigers' number 2 prospect.
This is officially the Bryce Rayner game. He is the first Whitecap this season to have a 5-hit game. He is the first Whitecap to have a 6 RBI performance in 2026.
Unbelievable. Another 2 home for West Michigan, 13-1 the score. We'll have a meeting on the mound here. It does allow us to tell you Whitecaps baseball, as always, is brought to you by Game Time Fun Park. If you're looking for good fun for the entire family, Game Time Fun Park is the place to go. They have an assortment of exciting activities to choose from. Fun food and entertainment lined up for the entire family. GameTimeFunPark.com.
I like the post on X from the boys over at Tigers Minor League Report. They showed the Bryce Rayner a home run. You can find it over there, and it said at the very end, according to @Dan Hasty and ... Alex Avila.
Hurtado with an opportunity now. Fouls that one off, makes it no balls and 2 strikes against him. And you can tell that he has transitioned, Alex Avila that is, into the broadcasting world. I was ready to just let him do the color for the rest of the game. He was good, really good.
So was I.
Bryce Rayner home run.
Take the night off, Nate.
Hurtado fouls it off, stays at no balls and 2 strikes. Bottom of the 7th inning, 13-1 the lead in favor of the Whitecaps. What has been a power display for West Michigan tonight. A 3-run home run, a 2-run shot. And Clayton Campbell also getting a solo homer. So Hurtado goes down at strike 3, cuts through that fastball 2-way here in the 7th. And then he'll bring in Jackson Strong. Strong will take his ABs. Bottom of the 6th, by the way, Tigers taking on the Athletics tonight. I know we mentioned that a little bit earlier. Of course, we were talking about Kevin McGonigal. The season that he's had certainly seems like could be Rookie of the Year this year. He's 1 for 2 with a run scored tonight. It was amazing to think that, before the season, conversation was, would he even make the roster? He's made more than that. Strong muscles one into center field. And Strong gets in on the RBI party. An RBI single. It's a 14-run game for the Caps. 14-1.
And that's his first hit of the night. And in a situation like this, you're really happy for Jackson Strong. Able to get a swing like that in front of his friends and family who have been here throughout the course of the week. And I know that gives you a 13-run lead. It only means so much in the grand scheme, but I know that means something to Jackson Strong.
Clayton Campbell takes one on the outside edge. He has a home run and a walk tonight. 2 runs scored. But in that Tigers game, Jake Rogers with a 2-run homer. Spencer Torkelson with a 3-run homer. Now his 15th of the season. And Troy Melton continues to prove why he's one of the best in the American League this season. This is low and away, 1 ball and 1 strike. 5 1/3 today for Troy Melton. 1 run, none earned, 9 strikeouts in that 5 1/3 innings for the Tigers. Cater Montero currently on the mound. Taking it into the 7th. As Campbell checks a swing on one that misses a little bit low. Here makes it 2 balls and a strike. Jake Rogers, again, those 2 RBIs and that 1 swing. Torque with 3. Riley Green also 1 for 2 with a ribby tonight. That went into the bottom of the 6th. 2 outs over in Detroit tonight. 2 on to Campbell. Chops it left side, charging in Evans. It's in time. Oswaldo Linares at the plate. Colin Fields back to work in the 8th after 2 scoreless. 14-1 Caps firing on all cylinders. And as we go into the 8th, we hand it back over to Dan.
Well, does this run support work for you, Colin? 13-run lead The Whitecaps have individual innings tonight, scoring 2, 3, 4, and 5 runs. Quickly 0-2 on Linares. He fouls it straight back. Interesting to see Colin Fields getting some bulk innings. Granted, his pitch count's kind of low so far.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it. He's just been really efficient through the first couple of innings. So I'm almost guessing, almost sure that because it is a rehab, probably on a pitch limit.
Linares slaps it to left. Hrustic, out number 1. You know, I think back to just different games over the course of recent years. I think back to the game in 2024. Looks like Rene Rivera is going to go take out Colin Fields here, by the way, but we'll keep it here for now. But I think back to the Max Clark game against Lansing a couple of years ago when he had 4 hits, including that one when the Whitecaps were down to their final strike and got the big triple that helped the Whitecaps go on to win the ball game. Hit a home run today, came in as a replacement for Dylan Dingler. It's kind of amazing that the Tigers, a team that has been talked about so much with a very critical eye as it pertains to their offense. Juanmi Vasquez in for West Michigan. 1 strike to Zach Evans. Fouls it back, 0-2. But the fact that the Tigers have 3 position player all-stars. Not a lot of teams have that. Good chance for Juanmi Vasquez to work out a couple of the bumpy games he's had over recent years. That one certainly looked good. Inner half for a called 3rd strike. Evans is out, 2 away. But 3 all-stars, it's not too shabby for the Tigers.
No, and it's a sign of, and I know we wanted to talk about some of the other comments that were made today about what this roster is and what their expectations are going into the deadline, but you know, it just shows that they do have a level of talent. You know, really the question was just everybody staying healthy this year, you know, and having a level of consistency, which is just, it's tough to do when you're dealing with as many health concerns as that organization has this year.
0-1, DeCrisio checks his swing. Did he go too far? Nope. 1 ball, 1 strike. I was sitting here initially thinking, well, Nate can talk to just about anybody he wants to on the post-game show tonight. Then I realized that there's probably one that is going to get a little more attention than some of the others. And, you know, to your credit, you've done a great job talking to so many of the different players on this roster this year. I always try to look for excuses to see if we can talk to somebody that we haven't talked to much, but I think it's pretty clear this night belongs to Bryce Rayner.
Yeah, and I think, you know, for Bryce too, it's, you know, I think getting experience in those situations and in the media and learning how to navigate that is just as important too. You know, I think he's really well spoken, and you know, it's clear that he knows the spotlight's on him, but you know, to be able to handle that at an age like that it's not an easy thing to do, and so I can tell he's getting more comfortable at it, and you know, that's the component that sometimes we don't talk about nearly as much, but he's certainly gotten comfortable with it, and I always look forward to talking with him.
Outside to DeCrisio, he draws a 2-out walk, brings up Cason Wells, who pops it up behind the plate. Don't think there's going to be room for Schliger, and it bounces right by a gentleman wearing a Javi Baez jersey. Unable to make the play, but that was not the actual Javi Baez. 0-1 the count. A lot of Avila jerseys, a lot of Rodney jerseys here tonight. No surprise there. 0-1, Cason Wells. Cutting a miss. I saw a dual color Fernando Rodney jersey. It was half blue, half orange.
Oh, wow.
And it had Rodney's name and number stitched in on the back. It was really sharp.
That's pretty cool.
A few more Tigers jerseys sprinkling the crowd tonight. Oh, 2 outside. Let's see who's beneath us. Feels like tonight's a good night to see which Tigers jerseys are in the crowd. After all, we are celebrating 30 years of affiliation between the Tigers and the Whitecaps. 2-2. Let's see. Riley Green is down beneath us.
Lance Parrish.
Not the real Riley Green, but someone wearing his jersey. Lance Parrish, who's ironically right next to his former manager, Sparky Anderson. A lot of scoobles, no surprise there. That breaking ball just missed. 3-2. Miguel Cabrera. I think I see perhaps a, oh, that's Andres Torres. I was going to say, is that Glaber Torres? But that's Andres Torres, who played for the Whitecaps many moons ago. 3-2. Tags this one out into shallow center field. Should be a scoreless eighth for Vasquez and the Caps. Strong makes the grab. Let's go to the bottom of the eighth.
Going to go for the Whitecaps, right field to number 26, Andrew Soika.
We go into the bottom of the eighth, 14-1, West Michigan at cruising altitude here at LMCU Ballpark. Nicholas Falter comes in for the Fort Wayne TinCaps. Get a look at Nick Falter's numbers as Soika pounds one in the air towards left. Ballpark should hold it, so should the left fielder Jack Costello. He's got it for out number one. One up and one down. That brings up Stephen Hrustich. Well, nice work by Colin Fields. He came in out of the bullpen, looked really, really sharp today. Fields, 2 1/3 innings in his rehab assignment. No runs, no hits, no walks, and a strikeout. A lot of things to be happy about. You know who else should be happy is Ben Jacobs. He's in line to get the victory tonight. 5 innings of 1-run ball. He had a couple of rough games. Grounded to short. DeCricio's got it. Over to first. 2 down. But those 5 innings of 1-run ball also sees 1 walk and 8 strikeouts. That is the bounce back outing that Ben Jacobs needed. Talk about a feel-good night here in West Michigan. 14 runs, 11 hits. And you've got Fort Wayne, who is also at 1 run on 3 hits with 1 error. First pitch was outside. Luke Schliger's next toss is fouled back to the net. 1-1 the count. For the TinCaps, the results were a little bit on the opposite side of the spectrum here tonight, as Winier Chorio goes 2 2/3 innings. He gave up 5 runs on 4 hits, walked 4, struck out 2. Javier Chacon gave up 6, albeit 3 of those were earned in 2 1/3 innings, and then Will Koger gave up 3 in his 2 frames. 1-2 pitches outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Same time, same place tomorrow. And also another top 30 Detroit Tigers prospect, Lucas Ellisalt, going for the Whitecaps tomorrow. Schliger fouls one back. Thankfully, that one did not take any beverages with it. 2-2. Which reminds us, tomorrow's a Thrifty Thursday here in West Michigan. It's $3 for long drinks, 20-ounce beers, hot dogs, and Pepsis. Down and in. Luke Schliger gets ball 4. So a 2-out walk for the Whitecaps. That'll bring up Juan Hernandez. So Nate, all the Whitecaps would need now is for Juan Hernandez and Woody Haydean to find their way on base, and then Bryce Rayner can go after a 6-for-6 night here in West Michigan. Inside of the backstop.
Yeah, and don't put it, beyond this Caps team, especially when you consider some of the struggles that this Fort Wayne bullpen has had this year. Caps still could probably have one more big inning in them, so it's not ridiculous to think that Bryce might get one more chance.
Up high to Hernandez, 2-0. All right, individual batting leaders in Whitecaps history. There is one player in franchise history who has a 6-hit game. And it's probably not anybody that any of us are going to be able to guess. The only player came in 2005, a game at Dayton, Nick McIntyre. I can hear all of you furiously Googling Mick McIntyre as well. He was a 20th round pick of the Tigers back in 2003 out of Purdue. And that 2005 season, he was really good. Hit 302. He was a second baseman, by the way. 302 with 7 homers and 45 runs batted in. Went as high as Double-A Erie for a couple of seasons after that. 2-2 on Hernandez. Isn't that crazy to think, though? In all these years, 30 years with the Tigers, a couple extra with the Athletics, and only one player has a 6-hit game.
I imagine too, like one of those hits just kind of ran into, maybe got a cheap one. Not to assume, I don't know, I didn't see the game. But I think the thing that's really impressed me about Bryce's performance tonight is just how hard he's hit every single one of those balls. It almost felt like it was on a tee for him, the way that it's been jumping off his bat today. So, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The pitch. Hernandez keeping our hopes alive. 2-2. I never got a chance to share this with you. I want to take you back to the Bryce Rayner at bats. We'll do it in the top of the 9th inning, so stick around. First, the 2-2 to Hernandez outside. All right, I'm going to give it to you now instead. Bryce Rayner, 5 for 5 tonight, a home run and 6 RBIs tonight for the Caps. Here are his exit velocities in each at-bat. 110, 109, 109, 111, 113. Hernandez flares this one down the left field line. Catch is made, and the inning is over. And a new pitcher, Eliseo Mota, checks in for the Whitecaps. First pitch is a grounder to short. Bryce Rayner, who we were just talking about, over to first for out number 1. Nate, we were talking about this before the break. His exit velocities tonight in each at-bat, 110, 109, 109 again, 111, and 113 miles per hour.
Pure, easy power, and it comes from a frame that can continue to fill out.
Grounded to third. McCoy bobbled by the first baseman Campbell. And safe at first is McCoy. I like that. Smooth, easy power. And he just turned 21 years old.
Effortless. And I mean, that's the thing about, like, he will continue to get stronger. I mean, we remember the same progression for many of the players we've seen before, whether it be Riley Green or Parker Meadows, and even Max Clark said last year, you know, as you get older, you tap into that power more, and it leaves us saying more. Like, there's more to this. Like, yes, there's more even to come for someone like Bryce Rayner. So that's what pops off the page the most about it. And again, has no issues in terms of seeing the ball and reading the zone.
All right, go downstairs. Say hi to Bryce for us. 0-1 on Jack Costello. One ball, 1 strike. Nate and I are going to collectively hope that there's not a double play here on this pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike on Costello. That one's inside. 2 balls and a strike. Lucas Elisalt for the Caps tomorrow. Carson Montgomery goes for Fort Wayne. We'll be on at 6:20, and it's the Caps and the TinCaps beginning at 6:35. 2-1. High drive into center field. With some carry near the track is Jackson Strong. There's out number 2. And the Caps have Fort Wayne down to their final out. They stand as one here in West Michigan. 14-1 the score. Caps trying to put the finishing touches on one of their most lopsided wins of the year. Lamar King Jr., his first pitch is fouled away. So many people coming out tonight to celebrate the fact that they've had a chance to come to this ballpark for 3 decades and cheer on their hometown team. Let's go Whitecaps, they chant. This one a little low. 1 ball and 1 strike on Lamar King Jr. And I have good news. Nate Wangler is almost all the way down to field level. He is fast, that one. 1-1 the count. Broken back grounder, going to be a tough play. Hernandez bare hands to first. They got him anyway. A little highlight reel action to put the finishing touch on a 14-1 Whitecaps romp. Celebrating 30 years with the Tigers and celebrating one of their biggest wins of the year.